No, I don't think the Department of Education or the government, the people in the position did their best. Well, if they did, then their best is not enough. And trying to do your best when you're in a government position is not and never it will never be enough because you chose to be in that position. You are accountable for being in that position, and you should know that trying your best. People always use that as an excuse, and it frustrates me because if your position will affect other people, trying your best shouldn't be enough. The effects is what matters. Like what you did is that matters. It's not just the intent. Because if trying your best means lack of modules to the students, that's not the best. And we are not even being subjective that you just hate the government. No, it's not about that. To be honest, even if you remove the politicking in that one, we all can agree that what is happening is not what the students deserve, especially in public schools. You go to public schools right now, and some of the modules are lacking pages because there's no bond paper. Some of the teachers has to use their own money to print the modules. Come on, the teachers are already underpaid. We are paying teachers like 20,000 a month and expect them to do or to give their own finances just to support the students, and they're doing it just because they want the students to learn. They're not doing it for gratification because majority of the teachers will not even tell you that they spent their money on it. Especially in public schools, even before the pandemic, I saw how my teachers are, some of my teachers have to buy some of the students lunch, or give lunch money to the students. And their salary, this is their salary, and this is the effort they were giving. So for the government officials to say that they are doing their best, that's a disrespect to the people who are really trying and striving so hard to give the students what they deserve. So I saw the educators really adjusting because who were carrying the burden of that trying the best, but it isn't enough. Who are carrying that? It's not the government officials. The one that is carrying that burden are the students. The one that is carrying that burden is the educators. Some of my teachers are awake at 2 a.m. just to check or grade papers. That's not trying your best. If you're a government position, you should not be contented with trying your best. What you should be contented is giving the best, or people receiving the best. It's not just about trying. You have to do it. Trying is not enough and will never be enough.
Yes, I believe so. They did what they could with the resources they had. Tama yung they suspended face-to-face classes. Because, yun nga, kung hindi, baka dumami naman yung COVID. Lahat tayo malagod. So yung modular distance learning, I think they did the best with the situation given. Because they understand na parang not everyone has access to a mobile device, Wi-Fi. So they had to find a way to be able to still teach these kids, but without all the technology.
May mas mabuti pa pong paraan.
Tingin ko naging fair naman sila kasi merong kung saan komportable or kung anong kaya gawin ng mga bata, like module or yung synchronous asynchronous class na. Yeah, naging okay naman. Tingin ko lang naging yung yun nakadepende sa mismong, as in yung school mismo, kung paano nila i-implement, kung ano ba yung in-implement ng government. Yun.
I'm also a healthcare researcher, so I am for increasing the budget when it comes to coronavirus because I believe in healthcare and accessible healthcare, but I also believe in accessible education. And if we have money to fund the military power that much, if we have money that we borrowed from other countries that our people will be paying for in the future, then I think we have money to print documents and modules for our students. If we have money to spend on politicians' transportation fare, if we have money to pay for their diplomatic dinners or their parties, then I think we have the money to give the students the quality education that they deserve.
Well, I don't think this was a good idea. DepEd is already put up with this situation that they barely could have, that it would be very hard to come up with something better than the modular system for the public student kids. Because if you think about it in like even a few seconds, you'd be thinking that it would be kinda impossible to come up with a better system than this. Cutting their budget makes it even more impossible to even give a surprisingly good modular system. It just takes out a lot of possibilities of what it could have done, of what education could have been. Honestly, the last resort thing that I have left is get enough money to give free gadgets. And once they give the free gadgets, then the online learning is a lot easier. I think that I think that the most plausible solution with what we have is solving this pandemic, going back to face-to-face educations, and then slowly planning this out by steadily developing with more money from tourism and hopefully even from farmers. So I think it's a long-term plan, but the best thing right now is to find some way to go back to face and then plan this out. Maybe not to the point where they're giving free gadgets, but maybe to the point where when time comes that we have to do this again, they will be able to have a good, a good education system rather than just the modular system overall. So yeah.
I just wanted to be more accessible. I just wanted to really define what quality is. I wanted to be accessible in a sense that female students like me doesn't have to choose the courses that we don't want just because we are discouraged from doing it by our own educators or by the people around us. Because that's all about education, right? When you are given the academic freedom to choose what career you want, that's academic freedom. That's accessibility. Especially with STEM courses, we keep on saying that doctors, engineers, or being a lawyer will make you rich. But then how are we going to be rich if we're not even given the opportunity to pursue that field? If that's what success is defined as. Especially in Asian countries, we glorify STEM courses as like the OG career, right? But then we don't give enough resources for the students to really be successful in that field.
We have to really take care of our youth, because they're gonna be the future leaders, and if we're not able to teach them properly, if we're not able to guide them properly, we're gonna be like setting ourselves up for our own demise.
I think reducing the amount of required courses, like especially for senior high, would be helpful. I know that's kind of a lot to ask, and we need these competencies, but it's kind of overwhelming as well. Yeah, we have a lot of strand classes, and I think some of it's not useful in real life. I don't know if this is something that DepEd did or it's our school, but I feel like we should have more of a choice in what we're learning. This doesn't have to be for all levels, but it could be for the higher levels, that we have electives that we actually choose, so that we're not just studying for the sake of studying or for the sake of grades, that we're actually studying to learn and to improve ourselves.
More competent teachers. Kasi sa kanila kasi nag-uumpisa. Siguro, yung fair para sa kanila. Kasi maraming mga teacher na nagre-reklamo na mababa sweldo, ganito, ganyan. Mahirap yung trabaho nila, pero ganun lang yung binibigay sa kanila. Siguro, i-improve yung part na yun para mas maraming magugustuhin mag-teach. Yun.
Last but not least is just awareness in general that education is important and we should give more attention to education. Not just because a lot of people are in it, but because it is what will shape the future generation. You give someone an education that teaches them to be sexist, to be racist, then you will raise a generation that will do that. If you get the type of education that keeps on focusing on competition, then students will grow up thinking that the only way for them to win at life is by competing against other people, which is a very unhealthy type of education. You give students a mind setting that, hey, those who are strong enough will be able to like survive, then they will always be on survival mode. They will not learn. They will just be there so that they can win. And sometimes unhealthy wins is still a loss. It's still a loss. It's not a win if your mental health is deteriorating. We have, those are the things that we should focus on education, not just having like advanced lessons, giving good math exams, or like training more teachers or whatever. That's not just like we can improve the education system. We can improve the education system by first dismantling the mindsetting that education is a competition, because it is not. You graduate on your own pace, you learn on your own pace, and you should have the right environment that will fit your academic needs. So that is what we have to improve in order to get the quality education.